Reddit on Reddit on Reddit.
Has anyone ever met a celebrity?
I met Sean Gunn, Charles Martinet, and a whole bunch of actors from Doctor Who and Power Rangers.
I said celebrities.
Who the buck is Charles Martinet?
I met George Takei, Christopher Lloyd, and Rupert Grindall at Comic-Con in Seattle.
I once met the cast of the local kids show. I guess they count as local celebrities. Funny thing about that is, my relative is now one of the cast.
They don't count as celebrities, and neither does your relative. Weak.
Yeah, cool story.
I met Hulk Hogan once at his shop in Orlando. I just walked in to look for nostalgia and heard his voice in the back room.
So far not a single person here has described a legitimate encounter with a celebrity. Does anyone have an actual story to tell about their celebrity experience?
I met Matthew Gray Gubler outside of a smokehouse and he was insanely nice. We weren't sure it was him at first, but eventually we just asked him and he was super chill about it. He's pretty funny too.
Met Mac DeMarco after his gig in Dublin. He was staying in a hotel across the street from my house and I happened to walk past as he was standing outside. He had ripped fans on, was smoking like a train, and his phone was shattered to bits. He was really lovely and happy to chat to his fans. He was exactly how I had imagined he would be. I met Logan Paul too and he was exactly how I imagined he would be. A dumb douche. I don't even know if he counts as a celebrity.
He doesn't.
I met Paul O'Grady. In a pub, he tried to chat me up and he was quite nice to be honest. A bit forward but nice nonetheless.
That old bastard was horny.
I've met a lot of stand-up comics. Jay Moore was the one who stands out as being as cool, personable and down-to-earth as one can imagine. He's hilarious and one of the nicest guys ever.
I was at Coachella a few years back and had accidentally dropped our blunts while sneaking them past security, so I ran back to camp to grab more before meeting back up with my brother and roommate for the next show. Once I return, I'm running through the grounds and see this guy who looks just like the nerdy security guard who smokes all Redman and Method Man's plants in the movie How High. So I obnoxiously run up to him as he is walking with an Asian girl and say, "Hey man, you kinda look like that guy in How High. Have you seen it?" The movie was like 15 years old at this point. The girl with him, who I think is a famous actress, says, "It is him." I say, "No way, you're just messing with me." He says, "No, it's really me," and the girl says, "Yeah, he's in Bones." I'm like, "Bones? I don't know jack about Bones, but How High?" And I nod my head in approval, smiling like a dope. They must have thought I was a complete idiot, so they say, "Do you want to get a picture?" I'm thinking, I'm not that excited, but it was pretty cool cause I do love his character in How High, which I consider a classic stoner movie, so I'm like, hell yeah. We took the picture and I ran off to meet my crew. He was pretty cool and definitely a much bigger celebrity than I gave him credit for. So then literally a couple of minutes later I meet my peeps in some tent and I immediately see Blake from Workaholics. The show was fairly new at this time so no one seemed to notice him, but we loved that show from day one and were commenting on it earlier that same day. I say to my bro and friend, "Dude, it's Blake," and we go snap pics with him and start yelling, "Let's get wed," before he even realizes what's happening. It was pretty rude actually, again. So then other people look and see us yelling and they all rush over and he just took off. That was a great day, a great weekend, and a great moment in high history.
You sound like a douche, but that story is awesome.
I've met a few actors that I didn't know while traveling, and a few high-list celebrities. The main person I think of is I met comedian Jimmy Oyang on a business trip through San Jose, California, sitting next to me on a plane. I didn't know who he was, but we talked the whole time, made a lot of jokes, and just hung out. He told me he had a show in San Jose and said I should get a hold of him when I was in town again. I quit my job shortly after for personal reasons and regret not being able to hang out. Honestly, the coolest person I have met while traveling. I didn't know he acted as well until later, and it was even more strange when I saw he had a stand-up comedy special that I really enjoyed.
That's a cool story.
I was at a hot springs resort with the main guy from Silicon Valley. I recognized him right away. Then a kid recognized him, but his mom asked who he is and he looked as if he died a little inside. Then over the next couple of hours you could see more and more people recognizing him and saying things like, "Hey, that Verizon guy." I've had a lot of close encounters with celebrities while traveling and have had a few as patients that I didn't realize were celebrities until later. The first one I remember was in India. I was next to Richard Gere in a market and thought, "Oh, that's neat. That's Richard Gere."
I live in Ireland. My sister was sick with leukemia and we ended up in hospital with her on Christmas. He keeps it under wraps, and he recently spent Christmas in America. But until very recently, Colin Farrell and his whole family used to spend every Christmas giving out gifts and talking to families with sick children in the children's hospital. I wasn't that interested and neither was my sister, but he really spends a lot of time and energy with the families. I remember him saying hi to my sister and how was she, and she just made a face and ran away, and he said to my dad, "I don't blame her. I wouldn't want to talk to me either." I don't remember what my dad said back, but Colin followed it up with, "I mean, plus it means she is in hospital on Christmas." So he was very aware it was hard to be there, because if you were there on Christmas it was serious. It was strictly under wraps, no press. He really didn't want it to get out because it would take away from the families. He was very humble and kind and a typical dub. Me and my whole family have nothing but praise for him. Other celebrities visited the hospital and brought press and were actually terrible to the kids and really let them down, so Colin's Christmases at the hospital were really special.
I once got onto Sean Connery's Wi-Fi. It didn't need a password and his Wi-Fi is called Connery. He has a chalet near where I was living as a ski teacher. So considering he doesn't require a password for his Wi-Fi, I would say he was accommodating towards me.
Met by working in the music industry or through people who knew them personally. Metallica Lars Ulrich. Lived with him for 6 months. I find him okay actually. He's nicer than he seems. Although he did do a lot of drugs during his stay and was very out of it. I forgive him for ruining Napster. Slipknot. Surprisingly nice. Aside from Joey Jordison, he was an arrogant what?
Used to be a climbing instructor near London. Simon Pegg came down with his daughter quite a lot for lessons. His whole family came once to watch, so it was fun chatting with the Pegg family. Was always his agent that booked over the phone, so became quite friendly with a lot of them. This was back when they were filming Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, so they visited when he had downtime. One day he claimed to have been wearing some socks he stole from Tom Cruise for good luck. Avid climber, I believe.
Does anyone have any stories of strange encounters with celebrities?
I stood in line at a buffet in Las Vegas and Jennifer Lopez was beside me.
Weak story, not strange, but that's cool I guess.
Entered a random raffle on Twitter from the Dallas Cowboys and won. Got to meet Dak, Zeke, Amari, and some of the other guys in a baseball dugout before their charity event.
I don't know much baseball, but awesome.
They are football players. They just did a baseball thing for charity.
I walked someone's dog that lived in the same area as Wayne Brady and Anna Faris. I met Wayne when I was struggling with the gate code and he buzzed me in. I used to see Anna every other day and we'd ride the elevator together.
That's cool. Don't know who they are, but still cool.
Wayne Brady is from Whose Line Is It Anyway? Anna plays Brenda in all the scary movies and is Chris Pratt's ex-wife.
I was at a convention last year and walked past this very flashy-looking guy at a restaurant. I looked at my husband and asked who the hell he was cosplaying as, and he had his jaw dropped staring at him and says, "No, that's Dog the Bounty Hunter. He always dresses like that."
Cool.
I actually once saw Shaquille O'Neal when I was 10 at a Warriors game. I was walking back to my seat with food in my hands, and I'm walking across this area where the player enter. I look up to this 7 feet dude, and he playfully punches my forehead. I then walk back to my seat, confused as to who bumped my head, but I thought it was cool. My dad then explained to me that it was the famous Shaquille O'Neal.
You don't seem to know who anyone is. You live under a rock?
Was at a luau in Hawaii. They asked for all military personnel to stand up, so me and my table did. Mike Epps leans back in his chair, says thank you guys so much, and bought us a drink. Super nice fellow.
Thank you for your service. I don't know who Mike Epps is.
Face palm.